Rita Hansen, climber, mountaineer, mother, engineer, angel investor, and co-founder and CEO of Onboard Dynamics, has been breaking trail and charting new paths since her days as an industrial engineering student at the University of Washington. Born out of OSU Cascades, Bend-based Onboard Dynamics is the market leader in the climate technology revolution. Under Rita's leadership, the company shifted its product focus in January 2021 and has since grown from 9 to 32 employees. Rita will discuss how the company found success and is driving change across the natural gas industry. Tonight, she will be presenting Charting New Markets in Clean Tech and Investing in Entrepreneurship. Welcome to the other side of Pub Talk, Rita Hansen. Get on up here.
And this is on.
Yep.
So I want to ask Tommy, I'm 65. Can I get to 45 if I jump into one of those things? I just told my husband that I'm going to change out the hot tub for one of those. Maybe not. So listen, I want to thank EDCO for really inviting me here, and thank Columbia Bank for giving my team 5 free tickets to come here tonight. So we have a good showing from my company. But before I get started, it's not like I can see everybody, but how many people say this is their first pub talk? First pub talk? First pub talk coming here. Okay, awesome. The reason I asked that is because my first pub talk here at EDCO in Central Oregon was in June 2012. Now, this is a little bit sad because Shelley Gunton was the keynote speaker that night. And Shelley was amazing, warm, kind, kick-ass entrepreneur. She and her husband co-founded Castor and Pollock's dog food company, and it was later acquired. So she, and with that, decided to become an angel investor. She became a mentor. She became a volunteer. And she's part of my story because she actually encouraged me to take this job back over 10 years ago. Shelley sadly passed away at the age of 59, 3 years after her pub talk, when she was 59, due to brain cancer. She was actually in the process of moving here. Her son actually interned at EDCO. So we're going to get onto some more fun stories, but tonight, I'm dedicating this keynote to Shelley. So let's start this story. So 10 years ago, I was actually introduced to Dr. Chris Hagan at Oregon State University Cascades by EDCO. It was Jim Coonan, who was the venture catalyst back then. And Chris was new to Bend. He was actually new to OSU Cascades. He had just been hired on. And he brought with him an award from this agency called the Advanced Research Projects Agency for Energy within the DOE. If any of you are reading Speed and Scale, he talks about that, ARPA-E. And Chris had this award. He was set up at the school, and he was looking for help to commercialize his technology. So he went to EDCO, and EDCO turned him on to me. I had just moved here, and they knew that I was kind of into these sort of things of, serial entrepreneurship. I was into energy, but I knew Jeff Whitwer. How did I know Jeff? Because he and I did some angel investing back in 2012 at the Bend Venture Conference. Woohoo, Jen. I was one of those people that came to Bend and started to get involved with the BVC. So I said, oh, Jeff, he's a much better person who should be talking to Chris, because Jeff's like PE, he's got his master's degree in engineering, and I'm an engineer, but I'm not that kind of engineer. And so then I was like, Jeff, you need to meet Chris. Jeff says, oh no, I helped hire Chris at OSU Cascades. I'm like, oh, okay, well, so let's the three of us band together and help Chris. And so we did, and over the process of a few months, we're like going, there might be a pony in there, because Chris was doing this really cool stuff with unique natural gas compression technology. And we were kind of chasing this idea that back then, 10 years ago, natural gas vehicles were a thing. They're starting to be a thing again, but they were a thing back then, and we were trying to figure out how to help address this critical lack of infrastructure we have in this country about refueling natural gas vehicles. So the three of us band together, along with Steve Westberg. Some of you know Steve. The four of us actually we formed the company, and we spun it out from OSU Cascades. And I like to tell, and for years I would tell Becky Johnson every time, it's like, yeah, remember us? We were your first company to ever spin out of Oregon State University. So, and we're still here. So so this problem that we were trying to solve 10 years ago was really something that the government was giving us funding. The funding fueled our existence for about, 4 years. And then we launched a product to figure out how to solve that natural gas compression problem. But then the real work became real. The government award ended, and we needed capital in order to survive. And that's when the fundraising journey began. And another shout out to Jen, who's part of Portland Seed Fund. They were our first private capital into the company. And they have supported us over the years, time and time and time again. For those of you that know Jim Houston, he's actually still on my board, which is amazing. So I can tell you that the fundraising journey for us was really, really hard. I'm amazed, actually, that we navigated multiple valleys of death. And I'm amazed that my team did not abandon me. Really. There were a lot of personal sacrifices, and a lot of you are here with me still. But I think it was because we believed in something, and our vendors and our partners, they believed that we had something. And actually, I look back on this time now. I look back on this now, and I just go, oh my God, why didn't they just walk out the door? But they didn't, and the vendors and the partners didn't, and our spouses and significant others didn't. And the real belief in what we were doing didn't really present itself until the summer of 2020. And we all remember that, right? We all remember the summer of 2020, the height of COVID. You couldn't exactly sell that thing across a Zoom call. That doesn't happen. Yeah. So we were barely surviving a PPP funding at the time, and we had a customer who was actually using one of our earlier products down in California. And this customer calls us and says, hey, you know this device you have for natural gas vehicle refueling? Yeah. We think we can use it for a problem that we have where we're trying to go in and do some maintenance on a pipeline. It happens to be running right alongside the freeway in the San Francisco Bay Area. And we really want to figure out how to, before we can go in and do maintenance on that line, we need to evacuate the gas out of the line. And what we really don't want to do is we don't want to valve it off and vent all that gas up into the atmosphere, because natural gas becomes methane. And methane becomes methane emissions. And we just don't want to do that. We just don't want to vent the gas into the atmosphere, and we don't want to flare it. So flare, it's another choice they could do, but that's actually just running the gas through a burner. So you've got CO2 emissions. So either way, they wanted to be able to figure out how you captured that gas and do something with, and recover it, so you didn't have to vent it. And we're like, what the hell are they talking about? All we know is natural gas vehicle refueling. So we have no idea that, okay, that's great, sure, we'll send a technician down. We sent a technician down. We sent a technician down to the Bay Area. We're like, great, go do it. 2 days later, they call back, oh, wow, that was successful. You guys ought to think about this. You guys ought to think about this application, because this is a big problem for a lot of us. a lot of natural gas utilities in this country and around the world that are trying to figure out how they can go in and perform maintenance on a pipeline and evacuate the gas. And evacuate that gas where they're not venting it or they're not flaring it. They're actually capturing and recovering it and doing something with it. So let me take a step back and tell you what we do with that green thing right there. We actually we took our first product and we actually hook that up to a pipeline when we know that a customer wants to be able to go in and perform maintenance, and our system will capture that gas. We hook it up to, if they do a cut and they're gonna valve it off, and we can actually take that gas and either put it into an adjoining pipeline or we can put it into a vessel that's been compressed up to 3,600 PSI so that it can take it somewhere else and re-inject it back into the pipeline. So that's what we do in order to prevent those methane emissions from going up into the atmosphere. So we were able to, back to 2020, so when this customer called us and said, wow, you should really think about this. Well, it took us a few months to really kind of pay attention to that. We were actually chasing another grant opportunity with ARPA-E. We'd been encouraged to go after this big chunk of money, and so we were all heads down on that. And next thing you know, that fell through. It was probably like, the fall of 2020. And we were sort of like, we sat back around the table and we thought, okay, remember that conversation from that customer? Heaven forbid we should listen to our customers, but maybe that's worth thinking about. Maybe this is an industry, an application that we really should go after. And so we sat down. My team were like, okay, this is what it's going to take. Oh my God, this is like, we got to put all the chips in. We've got to do a big pivot. We'd already taken some twists and turns in our product development path, but this was a big one. And so we went to the board, and I will never forget this. I will always tell this story. It was 2 days before Christmas. Jim Houston on my board, Rod Ray on my board, and we're going to the board and we're saying, listen, we really think we should go after this market, but it's going to take 100% effort. We gotta focus, and we gotta do major customer discovery. And we don't know this industry. We don't know. I mean, it's a huge risk, but we gotta do it. And I call it the Hail Mary pass of the company, because they said go. And under Rick's direction, engineering, operations, the whole company, it was a massive customer discovery effort. It was Alan putting together project plans and saying, okay, this is what we got to do because we got to be launching a product by summer. And we had no money, but yet we weren't paying ourselves, and we were just doing everything we could because we knew it was the Hail Mary. And the more we learned, and the more we learned about our main competitor in this space, and the more we learned that, oh my God, we're doing two things that differentiate us from our competitor. We're actually running on the gas that's in the pipeline to power the system. So what you see is what you get. That's all you need. A pickup truck and a go-vac. And you show up at the job site, and you hook that pipeline, you hook that baby up, and we did a project today. And the customer saw it, and he's like, okay, we'll take two. It's amazing, because what we learned is that our competitor, you've got diesel-driven air compressors or diesel-driven generators or some other power source that has to come to the job site. We don't need that. With our innovation, we've been able to always provide. We run on natural gas to compress natural gas. We run on natural gas to compress natural gas. That's been our mantra for a long time. The other thing we do, we have amazing sophisticated controls and telemetry. We're collecting a ton of data. And data right now to our customers is like, oh, you mean like I can get an environmental report that says how many tons of CO2 emissions I've not shot up into the atmosphere. So powerful. It's powerful today, and it's going to be more powerful as we get into more of the, people talk about greenwashing all the time and other, means that companies, they're trying to, say they do this, but they're not really doing this. Well, no. Here's an environmental report. We really did it. And we collected the data. We can show you that we did this. So we had those two differentiators for us that really allowed us to come into the marketplace with a bang. I mean, I know like Rick lost all of his hair at this point, but when we launched the GoVac Max at the end of May, and we tested it with our other, shout out to our partner Northwest Natural over in Portland, Oregon. We tested it 1 week, and the next week we were in Nevada actually doing a job. It was like, oh my God, hang on. Are we sure we know what we're doing? And we did. I mean, the market received our technology with such, they embraced us. And I can tell you that a week later, after that, we got the call from BP Energy Partners, the private equity group, the really small boutique private equity group that, that was based in Dallas, Texas, and said, apparently they'd been stalking us for a while, but yeah, we're kind of interested in what you're doing. And so it was, it was amazing. I mean, we were, we said, okay, yes, we need capital. We really needed capital, and so we were actually talking to a couple players. But what was really important to us was finding an investor who knew our space and who understood us. So it's been a wild ride. I have to tell you that, and I'm jumping ahead, and so I just have to make sure that I'm on track, Shauna. I don't want to. But because we were having such amazing success that, by November of 2021, we inked the deal with BP Energy Partners. And so I have to say, I kind of thought that they were going to just shoo me out the door, bring in their own people, move the company to Bend, and that would be it, right? And then hopefully what was the most important thing to me was that the technology was going to get deployed at a big scale. Tommy and Dave were talking about scaling up. I wanted to see this thing scaled up. And so that's what was important. So I was ready to sail off into the sunset. I wasn't happy if they were going to move the company to Dallas, but that never came across their minds. They love Bend. They think Bend is a great place to start a company and grow a company. They saw the talent. They've been here. They know we've got OSU Cascades as a talent generator. We're hiring engineers out of that school. And they see this entrepreneurial ecosystem. They understand, my board member called me today to wish me good luck because he knew I was giving this keynote tonight. It's amazing that and I guess they think I have a few more years left in me, but they really see Bend as a great community to be growing a company. We went from 9 employees to 32, and we're still hiring. We expect to have 10 more on our payrolls by the end of the year. So it's been a wild ride, and it's been wonderful to be able to get up every day and have the team that I have. So before I sign off and open up to questions, I just want to, what's really cool, and Jen actually stole my thunder a little bit earlier, because now I get to be once again, for 10 years, there is no way I could be an angel investor in anything. I was happy that, at least I had something and I could stick with it. But now I can be on the other side again. And so as Jen knows, I was part of the BVC this last year. And I'm part of Portland Seed Fund, Fund 4. They take care of their entrepreneurs and give you a special pass to be able to participate in moving it forward, paying it forward. But the other thing that I think is really important to those of us that have walked in these shoes and have the scars on our back, we need to tell these stories to the newer, younger entrepreneurs. Because let me tell you, there's a lot of 2 a.m. moments of insomnia and anxiety, and it can be very lonely. So I have like 5 things, and then I'll turn it over to you, Shannon. One of them is pick your support system or person well. Whether it's your life partner, whoever it is, that person has to be somebody that you can count on. You get 120% of their support, and you are their number one fan. I have that person in my life. He knows who he is. So I can tell you, I can't imagine what it would be like to be standing here without having had his support. Number 2, pick your team well. I've made some mistakes early on. Some of you know that. But the best thing I could say is like, make sure you're surrounding yourself by people who are smarter than you. If you're ever in a meeting with your team and you think you're the smartest person, oh boy, you're in trouble. Because it's good to know what you know, but it's damn more important that you know what you don't know. And surround yourself with people who do know. So, and when you've recognized you've made a mistake, oh my God, you gotta act fast. So, and my team has heard me talk a lot about how important team is. So number 3, pick your customers well. Pick your early customers well, because you're gonna screw up. And you really want customers and early adopters who are gonna be, their expectations have been set, and but you really show your appreciation and you really listen to them, because you've just heard my story. Oh my God, if it wasn't for that customer who told us, hey, I think your system can do this, I don't think I'd be standing here. So pick your customers well. Pick your investors well. Bringing on investors that support you, want you to succeed, they're going to be there for you as well. And they bring knowledge, they open doors. I can't speak highly enough of Portland Seed Fund. Angela used to say, it's like, you don't need a mentor, you need a sponsor. You need somebody who's gonna open those doors, that they're gonna make intros for you. So it's really, really important to pick your investors well. And lastly, and then I'll turn it over to Shannon. You do have to stay committed to your vision, to your values, to your vision, to what you really believe in. I don't think that my team, if we didn't believe that we had something special, it just wouldn't have happened. It really wouldn't have. So, but we did have to make some twists and turns and pivots, and I actually hate that word, but we had to. But there was still something core there that we had a true north, and you've just got to stay committed to that, no matter what people tell you. I mean, I have another keynote that I give that says, what was I thinking? Hardware, energy, natural gas, Central Oregon, female-led. How could I have possibly checked more boxes where it made so damn difficult to raise money? But I have to tell you, I had a true north. And I don't know where that came from, but it was there. And I think those of you that are also entrepreneurs, you just kind of know that feeling. I can tell you today is a whole lot more fun waking up. And it's really, really fun because of the people I get to work with and the problem that we're solving. And it's a really big environmental problem. So it even makes it more fun. because I can look my little 9-year-old grandson in the eyes and go, I'm trying to make this world a better place. Thank you.
Rita, I'm overjoyed to hear you're hiring and dismayed that my skill set isn't worth a lick to you because, wow, this is such a cool story. Somebody said something? You're like, would we take a comedian just to light fires under people? It could be a thing, Rita. Let's talk. Okay, so you literally, I know you're like, I hate the word pivot, but you made a massive pivot. I mean, massive pivot to the point where you're like, I'm doing this environmental thing with natural gas, and now I'm inking a deal with BP. I mean, you have a vision, you have a true north, but when you have to make that big of a shift, did you feel shook up? Like, tell us a little more about that part of the experience. And it was fast.
Well, we were already working with natural gas utilities. We already had a vision and a mission that we were trying to really enable the natural gas industry to clean up their act. I mean, and I hate to say that in a negative tone, but we really do support the natural gas industry. We have millions of miles of natural gas pipeline that move a lot of gas that can be renewable, and so we're all about helping that industry. So we had that vision, and that customer is a big customer. They're a big player in the industry, and so it wasn't like it was taking our platform and doing something very different, but it really still fit. The platform, the technology, everything we were doing, it still fit. It wasn't like we had to reinvent the wheel. We just had to adopt the technology to service that particular need in that industry. And then we had to go out and meet all the people who work in that industry and really understand. I mean, and I got team members here that can talk to their blue in their face about how they just, every single phone call, every single time we talk to a customer, we're learning more and more and more and more and more about this.
When you said the phone rang, I thought you were going to be like, it was the President of the United States of America, but...
So Shannon, I can tell you I was in the White House. I got to wish, Barack Obama happy birthday.
So cool. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible what you're doing. Do I have any questions for Rita? Yes, in the back. Yes, you. You're the one. So you're collecting all of this data from your customers, and you said this is a really big problem. Can you dive into that? Can you quantify that? Can you tell us a little bit more of that story?
Yeah. Well, as everybody knows, there's now global methane trackers out there, and we are really all about methane emissions. So reducing methane emissions from the atmosphere, and I have a few data points. It's really, but I think it's so. To be honest, I don't think they're accurate. I think it's way woefully underrepresented. I can tell you today, though, that in the U.S., there's every day, utilities are having to make this decision about, okay, I've detected a leak. I need to repair the pipe. What do I do with the gas? Is it quicker to just, I'm going to bring out a GOVAC, I'm going to try to capture and recover it, versus, okay, I just want to cut, I want to get it out, I want to fix it. And I don't judge them at all. We want to give them the tools. But there's like 600,000 times a year when that's happening that we know of.
Right.
So it's a big deal. It's billions of tons that we're chasing, so around the world, globally.
Rita, are you finding that these companies, that they want to do the right thing?
Oh God, Shannon, yes, I can tell you. We show up at a job site today, and our technician, we're talking to him, and there's you can hear there's a lot of people there. This is in the middle of Colorado, and it's the middle of winter, and there's a lot of people there, and there's like, and we heard that I was heard like 20 to 30 people were there, and these people, and I've been at a job site up in Massachusetts, and everybody wants to come, and they go, oh God, we want to do this, we want to do this, and we want to help them do this. It's just getting the tools finally into their hands that says, no, you don't have to do it that way anymore. You can actually now do this. And our team is so great. I mean, our technicians, our boots on the ground that I have so much appreciation. I look at them as like they're the foot soldiers. They're out there, dealing with all the utilities and the operators, and they're out there, and all of a sudden they have to become like you, Shannon. They're like little MCs having to like walk them through. So how does the system work? Oh, well, here, let me show you. You do this, you do this. They didn't get hired to be presenting
Tell
their
them to call me,
technology.
Rita. I'd be happy to help.
Maybe you can have that.
I love to travel. How do you find these people? I mean, you're not acquiring new customers by making clever TikTok videos. Like, how are you finding these people and getting this technology into their hands?
Oh, gosh, we are attending a ton of conferences. We were just at a conference in Houston a couple weeks ago. There's a lot of conferences now, a lot of webinars, a lot of education coming down the pike for the utilities. So I will let you know that Donald Trump, in December of 2020, signed into law the PIPES Act. Now, do I think he read the whole thing? I don't know. But I'm not gonna, I'm very independent. But he signed into law the PIPES Act. The PIPES Act actually empowers the Department of Transportation to insist that pipeline operators now eliminate intentional venting. And it's now the regulations now coming into play. So thank you, Donald Trump, for doing that. And it's now, the regulations are coming. The regulations are coming, and so the utilities are like, okay, we know we got to do this, we want to do this, so let's. And they're looking. They're now, we're having more. I just did a report to the board. We had just in the last few weeks, we've had like 30 inquiries.
Wow.
We do zero outbound.
Wow.
It's all inbound.
That's amazing. Do I have any other questions for Rita? Yes.
I'm curious, when you started your business with a small group of people, how did you get to the point where you figured out, did you work with EDCO and Oregon State University to do your patents, and then your copyrights or licenses, or like how?
Yeah.
So this is a question about patents, copyrights, licenses. Did you work with EDCO? Did you work with OSU? How did you get through that process?
It's a really good question. So the original technology that was developed by the professor up at OSU Cascades, we licensed that technology. And our first pivot, I'll say pivot, our first, twist and turn down the product development path as we were being funded by ARPA-E was actually taking his original technology. It was onboard vehicle, which is actually where Onboard Dynamics came from, and we went to a mobile compressor like that. So doing that, we then started to develop internally our own. We have a pretty robust engineering team led by the gentleman sitting in front of you. And we actually started developing our own patents around this thing. So we still had the OSU support, and we've always worked with EDCO. We've worked with EDCO for like, we want to find IT support. Oh, we need attorney. I found Karen through, it's amazing how many touch points I have throughout the years with EDCO, with OSU, PSF, BBC. I was on the BBC stage way long time ago, and I actually lost to the guy who did, what was he doing? Some bullseye thing,
Where is he now? Where is that guy?
Sam. I think it was Sam.
I wonder if he had to do any pivoting.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, okay.
Any other questions for Rita? Okay. Oh, yeah, yes.
What about when you applied for the ARPA-E program? So I know I'm really into that too. Did you decide that specifically program was one of the many that you could have chosen?
How did you choose RPE when
That's
you
a
were
really
in,
good
in that
RPE. So
process?
RPE's a great agency, and actually Chris, Dr. Hagan, he had the original award. He brought the original award to the school, and then it was when Jeff and I and Chris formed the company and spun it out that RPE was like, oh, now it's a real company. Oh, and they look like they're gonna go places. And so we then applied for follow-on funding. So we were a known entity at that point. And so that was very easy to make that transition.
Do you have an invention, sir?
I do.
What is it?
I do hydrogen.
Oh, wow.
He does hydrogen.
Yeah.
That's a strong statement. Okay, hold on. There's one in the back. Yes.
How are you handling the supply chain challenges in the pandemic?
How are you handling? How
Oh
are
my
you?
God.
I'm sorry. Was
Rick,
there something at the
Rick,
end of that? How are you handling supply chain challenges during the pandemic era? Was there something to add? And the benefits the IRA and Made in America.
Yeah. Well, okay. So yeah, supply chain challenges. You mean supply chain dragons? One of our components was actually coming from China. Whatever hair Rick did have left, he has none now because of supply chain dragons. It was so frustrating actually last year. Our launch year 2022. We had product, we had customers, we had capital, and we didn't have product. So, but we try to do as much as possible in the US, and we try to do even more in Oregon, and even more in Central Oregon. Like our controls, we do as much as we can here in the state. And we're really trying to minimize how much we're doing. I fully believe that I am one of those people that says manufacturing needs to come back to the U.S. We need to rethink all that was happening. So, and we're experiencing it, but now we've got things smoothed out. So.
Yes.
I got a multi-part question.
Multi-part question.
What's your revenue expectations this year? And is your business model totally in selling mobile units, or do you guys have a service model where you go out and do it?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
so the expectations for this year, do you have a mobile unit, or are you looking at a model where you are going out and servicing it as well?
Yeah, so I'm not going to share exact revenue numbers, but I will tell you that I'm looking at my CFO over there, but we quadrupled our revenues from 2021 to 2022, quadrupled, which was great, even though we didn't have product. We were still able to do that. We'll double them again this year. So we expect to become like a $20 million company in the next couple years. And the second part of your question was about, business model. Yeah, business model. Yeah. Because of the capital that we received from BP Energy Partners, we were able to move off of direct sales and move more into a leasing and evac as a service. So the team behind you is actually, doing a lot. Being responsible for. Let me tell you, working in the natural gas industry requires a heck of a lot of requirements that you have to meet, that your team has to meet. One of our challenges, I'll say this, just tongue in cheek, is like our technicians, they all fall under the DOT rules, drug testing. So everybody who comes on board. So my philosophy was the technicians have to do it. We all have to do it. Even though we live in Oregon, sorry folks, So it was just sort of like meeting those requirements. But evacuation as a service and leasing is definitely a business model that will help build our valuation of our company. But our customers that we do sell to, for example, the utility today that says, well, we'll take two, you're looking at a CEO that's just not going to say no. I mean, when a utility wants to buy the asset and build it into their rate base, I want them to have the tool. I really do. I don't want them to go across the street and buy it from our competitor. I want them to have the tool. But we'll have other ways to make money from them. Maintenance, service, and support, report the data. The data is going to become so valuable that we'll be able to start, figuring out how to monetize that data.
Subscription services, right?
Huh?
Subscription boxes. Very hot. Any other questions for Rita? I have a question, actually, because we focused a lot on your company and on your work, and I know that you mentioned how important it was to have support and have a good team and all of these things, but I'm wondering, what are you doing outside of work to balance this wild ride that you've been on and take care of yourself?
I have good friends. I'm a climber, we live in Central Oregon. When my husband says, well, where should we move to? It's like, oh, I know a place where you can golf and I can climb, so I've been climbing a lot. So we live in a very, the quality of life that we have here is just, I'm an outdoors person. So my escapism is getting to the outdoors. So.
Yeah, well, you're in a great place for it. Rita, this is amazing. This has been incredible. I could listen to you talk for hours. I want to say thank you for joining us tonight. We do have a tradition here of offering you the Pop Talk sign. I was thinking, ooh, I'm so sorry. It's hitting another one. We do have a tradition here. I'm going to give this to you. You can bring it back. We'll fill it with ice water, and you can take a plunge into it and take a couple of years off your life, is what I was thinking you could do.
Thank you, Shannon. She doesn't know that I don't drink, but that's okay. I'll do the ice water part.
Yeah, but some soda water. I mean, kombucha.
My son.
A week's worth of kombucha.
Yeah. I do. Yeah, I was here last month. Kombucha. I'll fill it with kombucha.
Hot tea.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you, Shannon.
Another round of applause for Rita.